Hello and welcome to the new and improved Star Trek Kill Count. Now, I've done this once before. I started with Star Trek the original series and I was going in order, and I got 3 episodes in before I kind of petered out. Those old episodes can be fairly cheesy, and sometimes not a lot of kills happen. So I decided to revitalize this series by, instead of going in order or anything like that, picking my favorite episodes of Star Trek ever and recapping it to you and counting the kills. Today we'll be taking a look at In the Pale Moonlight. This episode begins with Captain Sisko in his quarters. He is so conscious stricken that he doesn't even know the date when creating a personal log.
For computer, what day is it?
Stardate 5172.
He notes that it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks since what? There's something he has to get off his chest. He can't even tell his close friend Dax. Maybe the computer can help him. We flash back to 2 weeks earlier, where we learn of a grim tradition. Every week posting the Starfleet's casualties, missing, and wounded list. Now, of course, since we didn't personally see any of these deaths, and we don't know how they died, if they're missing or if they're just wounded, we won't be adding any of these names to the kill count.
Not a week goes by that someone doesn't find the name of a loved one, a friend, or an acquaintance.
Sisko informs us that the Cairo is missing, and along with the Cairo, a close friend of Dax. Gone. Most likely killed by a Jem'Hadar surprise attack, launched from the Romulan neutral zone. The Jem'Hadar Dominion are flagrantly violating the borders of the Romulan Empire simply because there's a treaty in place, a non-aggression and friendship treaty. Non-aggression and friendship? The Cardassians had a dang alliance with the Dominion. And if you've seen DS9, you know how that ends.
Speak to the founder! No, wait!
Now, in the captain's office, Sisko and Dax have a theoretical fight about how to bring the Romulans into the war. They conclude that they need concrete evidence. Evidence that sadly lies deep in the bowels of Dominion territory. Luckily, there's a plain and simple tailor who has the irritating habit of getting into places he shouldn't be. In the briefing room, Garrick and Sisko argue. It would be a suicide mission. Going to Cardassia Prime? Impossible. Sisko knows there's more than one way to get the information they need. But Garrick warns, this is going to be a bloody affair.
And it may be a very messy, very bloody business. Are you prepared for that?
You know, Grandpa Sisko used to say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And Sisko laid his first stone right there. His cause was now just and worthy, and he would go to any length to complete his mission. Sisko is abruptly woken up in the middle of the night. Beta Z has fallen. The 10th Fleet, which was supposed to be protecting it, was caught out of position on a training exercise, and old planetary defense systems barely held up. They lasted not but 10 hours. And now that the Dominion had a foothold in Beta Z, it could launch attacks on the other core member worlds of the Federation. it's time for Garrick's plan. It seems that Garrick has been making inquiries on Cardassia Prime with his former associates, only to find they wind up dead within a day. He can't help but admire the efficacy of the Dominion security force. A disheartened Cisco goes to leave.
I hope you're not giving up that easily. After all, the stakes are much higher than a few dead operatives.
Luckily, that plain and simple Taylor Garrick always has a backup plan. Manufacturing evidence that the Dominion was planning an attack on Romulus itself. Cisco knows he should have put a stop to it right that second. But what Garrick said, it made sense. Garrick's plan revolved around Senator Vreenak, one of the most pro-Dominion voices in the Romulan Senate. If he turned against the Dominion, the rest of the Senate would fall in line like dominoes. It seemed like an invitation on the way back from a covert mission of diplomacy with the Dominion from the esteemed and worthy Captain Benjamin Sisko would bring Senator Vreenak to Deep Space Nine, where they would present him with a fake data rod containing evidence of a Dominion plan to invade Romulus. That was obtained, of course, with a story of grandeur. At least 10 men must have died to bring this back. Garrick knew the perfect man to create the Hollow program. Only he was sitting in a Klingon prison waiting to be executed.
The Klingons were going to execute me tomorrow. Of course, they say that every day. It's one of the little games they like to play.
Mr. Graython Toller, beyond ecstatic to be out of that Klingon prison and working for Starfleet for the first time in his life. But Cisco makes it clear in no uncertain terms that this is off record. To which Mr. Toller assumes that Cisco is looking for something spicy.
Oh, a personal matter. Something special for your eyes only. Something with perhaps 5 or 6 Orion slave girls and a...
We can almost hear that little voice in the back of his head telling him not to do this. But he chooses not to listen. And, in short order, Mr. Tolar tries to kill Mr. Quark. In Quark's bar, Odo informs Captain Sisko that if Quark presses charges, that he must arrest Mr. Tolar, leaving a record that Tolar was on the station. Sisko can't have that. So, he tries to bribe Mr. Quark. Quite successfully, I might add.
What will it take to convince you otherwise?
Are you offering me a bribe?
We must always remember the 98th rule of acquisition. Every man has his price. That was Sisko's first real moment of doubt. But waiting for him in his office was this week's casualty list. He had to keep his eye on the ball. Reminiscent of how Gibbs from NCIS holds his meetings, we find Garrick and Sisko in a stopped turbo lift. Garrick has located a cellar of an authentic data rod. Hallelujah! Only the seller's not asking for latinum. They're asking for biomimetic gel. A dangerous substance that could be used to make organic bombs or used in genetic augmentation, both of which are banned in the Federation. No, we can't do business with him. But he is the only seller. I guess it's time for negotiations. In the captain's office, Dr. Bashir argues that he can't release the biomimetic gel without some idea of where it's going.
Where it's going. In the wrong hands, could be used to make biogenic weapons, or for illegal replication experiments, or to develop organic explosives.
Perhaps I did.
Cisco makes his authority known, and that this is not a choice. Julian files a protest, but procures the gel as ordered. We cut to a hollow recording of Wayun and Damar plotting a Dominion attack on Romulus.
Have decided to implement Stage 2 ahead of schedule.
Invasion of Romulus? It's too soon. We're engaged in heavy fighting all along the border with the Federation. The Klingons are preparing to go on the offensive and...
Fortunately, the Founders have better vision than you do. They can see the...
Captain Cisco decides that the clip is satisfactory, and they record it onto the data rod. Mr. Toller thanks them and goes to leave. Only Cisco is not that happy about it.
It isn't fair. You can't keep me here against my will. I haven't done anything wrong. We had an agreement.
I'm making a new agreement. If that program passes...
Finally, Mr. Garrick tells Mr. Toller that he'll be along later to say hello. Cisco admits it's getting to him. Even with the approval of Starfleet Command, he would have to be the one. He would have to look Senator Vreenak in the eye and convince him of the lie. On the docking pad, a ship uncloaks, and in walks Senator Vreenak. I always assumed you'd be taller, Cisco.
And oh yes, the man who started the war was the Dominion. So I thought you'd be taller.
Back in his quarters, they drink a Romulan beverage. I hope Star Trek Wines comes out with it, because I'd love to try it on New Year's Eve. Here, Cisco finally plays his hand. He shows the senator the data rod, and predictably, the senator asked to verify its authenticity. All Cisco could do was wait, so he waited. The stakes of the mission were so high that if it failed, the Romulans might even join the Dominion.
It's a fake.
It all exploded in Captain Cisco's face. The compromises, the decisions, all for naught. Senator Vreenak was about to expose the vile deception. The war might as well have been over. 2 days later, Cisco got the news that a Romulan shuttle had exploded and killed a high-ranking Romulan official. It was Senator Vreenak. And here is where we get our first real kills of the episode. It was mentioned earlier by Garrick that the Senator travels with 4 guards. So that means, including Senator Vreenak, 5 Romulans were just killed. So let's add a 5 to that kill count. Now to the world, it would look as if the Dominion killed a Romulan senator on a diplomatic mission.
The Dominion assassinated a Romulan senator.
On a diplomatic mission. That changes everything.
Sisko, of course, knew exactly where to go. Down the turbo lift, through the promenade, and into a simple tailor's shop. You killed him, explained Sisko. Ha! That's right, retorted Garrick. We learn in short fashion that Mr. Tolar has been killed as well, taking our kill count to 6. Sisko decks Garrick. But Garrick justifies himself. They were just victims of war. Sisko came to Garrick because he could do the things that Sisko wasn't capable of doing. Garrick single-handedly saved the Alpha Quadrant from the Dominion. But at what cost? Sisko's self-respect. That's all it cost. I'd call that a great bargain. The Romulans were pulled into the war and immediately struck 15 Dominion bases. My final question for you is, can Sisko live with his decisions?
I think I can live with it.
Thank you for watching my Star Trek kill count for In the Pale Moonlight. I really hope you enjoyed. In total, there were 6 kills. Mr. Tolar, whose species is unknown, and 5 Romulans, 4 of which are unnamed, and 1 being Senator Vreenak. I hope I can do more of these, and I hope you'll join me if I do more. Well, that's it for today's video. Live long and prosper.